The Feast of Mary, Mother of Sorrow, presents us with an image of Our Lady with the Immaculate Heart on fire, pierced with 7 swords. And that would probably be the kind of picture that you would have people sending you for wishes today as we remember Mary, our Mother of Sorrow. 7 sorrows Mary endured in her life. There could be more, but 7 that stands out. The first being the prophecy of Simeon during the time of the presentation of her son. As Mary and Joseph take their son, Jesus, for the presentation in the temple, Simeon prophesies, "A sword shall pierce your heart, for this son will be the cause for the rise and fall of many." At that moment, Mary probably did not understand what that would entail. But as life went on, she truly understood that the sword pierced her heart many times. It happened soon after the prophecy of Simeon. They had to flee to Egypt because Herod was after the life of a child Jesus. And that's the second sword, or the second sorrow, the flight to Egypt, to be a stranger in a strange land, the suffering and the plight of being an immigrant. The third sorrow that Mary endured was the loss of her son in the temple when he was 12. They were going for the feast to Jerusalem, and then they found their son missing. The plight of parents who lose their child. And they searched for 3 days, and finally they found him in the temple, sitting with the elders. The remaining 4 sorrows of Mary happens on the way of the cross. The fourth is that of the meeting that takes place between the mother and the son on the way to the cross, onto Calvary. It must have been a very painful meeting. The mother who bore her son, the mother who carried and fondled her son, to see him suffer under the weight of the cross. Though they never spoke much, they hardly spoke a word, but their meeting, their exchange of eyes spoke volumes, expressing pain and sorrow. The next is standing at the foot of the cross. Imagine a mother standing to watch the execution, a painful, dreadful, merciless execution of a son, to witness that. But look what courage Mary had to be there at that moment. St. John the Evangelist does not say that Mary fainted or Mary was weeping bitterly. She stood there gracefully. She stood there as a symbol of courage and strength for her son, even as a sword was being pierced right through her heart. It says about her incredible faith and surrender to the will and plan of God as she watched her son die. The next sword that pierced was when the lifeless body of her son, brought down from the cross, was placed in the arms of his mother. And this image was immortalized by Michelangelo in the Pieta, describing the pain and the sorrow of this mother carrying the lifeless body of her son. And you could have this sculpture is still there in the Vatican as you enter St. Peter's Basilica at the very entrance on the right-hand side. A masterpiece describing the pain and the sorrow of this young mother carrying the lifeless body of her son in her arms. The final sorrow is to, as they placed this body in the sepulchre, in the tomb, and Mary felt that pain and sorrow, the final sword that drove through her heart. But why do we celebrate the sorrows of Mary? What does it tell us? What does it mean for us who celebrate this feast today? What was the driving force behind those sorrows of Mary? It was her incredible love for her son, her incredible love that accompanied her son right through from the womb to the tomb. Her sorrows reminds us that we have a mother who would also accompany us as she accompanied her son from the womb to the tomb, that she would be with us at every moment of our own pain and suffering. And if there's someone who understands what suffering is, what pain is our Blessed Mother. She's seen it all, she's been through it all. She knows, she understands when we go through our own suffering, when we lose a loved one, when we suffer, when we go through such a lot of emotions in our hearts. She understands and she accompanies us and she's with us, assuring us and giving us the courage that she will intercede for us and be with us as our pillar of strength. Mary was there for the young couple at Cana of Galilee. When they went through their moment of suffering, the wine ran out. But Mary understood their suffering and she interceded on their behalf. And through her intercession, her son Jesus changed the water into wine. Well, Mary will be there with her son in his greatest moment of pain and suffering on the cross, interceding for another miracle. At Cana, the water was changed into wine, but at the foot of the cross, this wine will become the very blood of Christ, which we celebrate at the Eucharist. It all happened at the foot of the cross, and Mary was there, and she will be with us every moment, interceding. And we are about to take part in this great miracle at the foot of the cross, where Jesus changes this wine that will be brought to the altar into his very body and blood. May Mary intercede and strengthen us in our own little sufferings and give us the assurance that she will always be with us, interceding, and God's grace be with us. Amen.